Hello, this is Devon's Slave Name Bankit. I'm on my way downtown to go feed the homeless that I do every Sunday. But today's subject is going to be racism. People today think that racism has disappeared. And in my opinion, racism hasn't disappeared. It has gotten progressively worse. And the reason that it got progressively worse is because back in the early 1900s, it was legal to do whatever you wanted to do to an African descent person. So they passed legislation to camouflage what racism really is. And I gotta tell you about a good friend of mine. I met this lady and her husband many years ago. They had a 2-year-old daughter. They are Caucasian, and these people took to me better than African descent people have. They invited me to their home. The mother would cook for me. I drank a particular type of orange juice. She would buy that particular type of orange juice for me. If I happened to pop up because I was in the neighborhood, she wouldn't want me to leave. And one day her 2-year-old daughter did something that the 2-year-old daughter started calling me Uncle Devon. And when I would come into the house, the 2-year-old daughter would run to me and kiss me on my lips. Now, in our culture, we wouldn't allow our children to kiss a grown-up on their lips. Well, as soon as she did it, I looked over at the mother, and I was shocked, like, hey, and they thought it was cute. The mother smiled, oh, that's so cute. So they didn't have a problem with that. And because she was a little girl now, saw her as a little girl, I treated her like she was kin to me, like she was kin, and that's how the relationship was. I was totally shocked to experience a Caucasian mother, Caucasian family that treated me that way, because I know a lot of Caucasian people, and after talking to them for a while, you can hear racial biases and preconceived ideas that they have about African descent people. Well, anyway, this lady was my friend. We'd go to lunch all the time. We do business. We travel together. And in my heart, mind, and soul, I said, this is the first time I've encountered someone who doesn't have any racial biases. Until Barack Obama won the White House. Barack Obama won the White House, and her true colors was exhibited. I had no idea. We've been friends for years. Her daughter, I would say 20 years before Barack Obama won the White House. I happened to be helping her move her office, and one of her friends were there, and they wanted to test my pulse, because this is what most Caucasian people do. Because the majority of them vote Republican, and if you, as an African descent person, is around a bunch of Republicans, they are under the impression that you are one of the sellouts that would vote Republican just to be able to fit in. And I'll give you an example about the mentality of African descent people. Back in the 60s, when they wouldn't let us into their country clubs, like fools, we picketed those country clubs, basically saying, take our money, which was preposterous, because we didn't have the intellect to say, let's go open our own country club. We want to fit in with the Caucasian man in every fashion, because they have stripped us of our heritage, culture, and tradition. We don't know who we are, so the only thing we know is to fit in with them, and if we get in with them, then we are basically whole. I have a philosophy. I think when Caucasian people see you coming, no matter what you do in business, working for them, whatever, they can pretend to be your friend, but this is what I think that they think inside. Here comes that girl, and there goes, when you leave, there goes that girl. That's my opinion because of the experience I've had. And I've had a whole bunch of experience with Caucasian people in my life. I think what they've done, well, anyway, my friend, when Barack Obama won the White House, I was helping her move, and her friend said something derogatory about Barack Obama. And I looked at her kind of strange. And she said, "What is your problem?" I said, "The problem is what you're saying is untrue." And she said he wasn't born in Hawaii. So I looked over at my friend, and I said, "This is what you believe?" She said, "He wasn't. He was born in Kenya." So I asked her this question. I said, the newspapers say he was born 52 years ago in Hawaii. So you're under the impression 52 years ago, someone created a plan to say, we're going to put this in Hawaii's newspaper to say that he was born on this day because one day he'll run for president. She didn't have a comment on that. So the next question I asked her, he was a U.S. senator, and to be a senator, there's a vast investigation that's done on anyone who runs, vetting process. I said, so he tricked that vetting process. My friend said, yes. I said, the vetting process to run for president is even worse. They evaluate every crevice. And I said, and he tricked that vetting process. She says, yes. So what she had allowed is her racist preconceived ideas to overcome and supersede every form of logic in the world. And what I have found out is people are susceptible to ignoring logic when it comes to certain things. Truth, proof, facts, and evidence are the strongest concepts, philosophies in the world. If I show you the truth, the proof, the facts, and the evidence, you must believe whatever I'm showing you. There are three things that supersedes truth, proof, facts, and evidence. That's ignorance, emotion, and stupidity. And when you are emotionally attached to something, there's nothing that can persuade, coerce, or convince you that you are wrong. The human mind is set like that. I don't know why. So I've encountered so much racism when it comes to having brown skin in my life. I think that it's even worse, and the reason that it's worse is because the African descent people who get into certain positions in government hierarchy, they step on their own people because they understand if I step on my own people, I can do the dirty work for the racist guy. It keeps my job, and they can't claim racism. And here's the question that I have for you. What is the one thing that controls every aspect of your life? Think about that. Most people say God. Ironically, if God controlled people's life, there would be no sin. Your source of income controls every aspect of your life. Your source of income determines where you're going to live, what school your kids will go to, what restaurants you'll eat from, what kind of car you'll drive, your source of income. So when they take an African descent person that has proven in a corporate structure that he will step on his own people for promotion, they will promote this guy, put him in a position so no one can claim racism, and he steps on his own people. And this is what has happened in America. So that's why I say racism is even worse today, because we get it from our own people. And it's amazing. So what Trump is doing right now with DEI, indicating that African descent people are not intelligent enough to work for certain companies. It's not because DEI allowed people that wasn't qualified. DEI just basically said you have to put certain ethnicities in the work field, but they are still tested and qualified. But what Trump is doing right now is perpetuating, precipitating, bringing racism back to the levels that it was back in the 40s and 50s. So, you guys tell me what you think.